Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So a friend of mine asked me to do a little review of the books we like and we don't like. And so we haven't purchased books in a really long time. So those are all books purchased, a few years ago because I've been homeschooling for quite some time. So we're going to go, I asked my girls who are 12, 10, and 7 to just randomly pull books off the shelves and, tell me what are the books that they enjoyed and what the books that they didn't enjoy. And this is going to be like a discussion, uncensored discussion. Like we're just going to talk about, books that they enjoyed and, what are our issues with them, what can be done better, and how are we basically going about teaching Islam. Okay, so we have a whole pile of books here that are the books about Dar Salam, and there's a set about prophets, and there's a set about belief, right? There's some about all kinds of prophets. There's a whole bunch of books. I'm trying to kind of just put them out here. And my girls, you guys can tell me about it. So what's up with these books?
Is it a bit controversial and the illustrations are
Yeah,
weird.
so basically the idea is that they're made like the board kind of cardboard books, right? And so it's meant to be easy to handle. And the idea is basically there should be, stories about the prophets. And I like the idea, right? Like we're talking about story of Adam.
When I was younger, I learned a lot about it. It's basically where I learned the first foundation of all the prophet stories.
So prophets sent by Allah.
It is a bit controversial as
the illustrations
yes.
are.
So the illustrations are a bit weird, as you can see.
But
and
it shows a lot of
sometimes,
information.
and sometimes the text, they try to make it rhyme, but it doesn't always rhyme, or even if it rhymes,
And they
it's a
take the
bit
wrong-
funny.
they take
It's a
the
bit
wrong
weird,
words.
right? So you can see the illustration. The illustrations are, this is meant to be Prophet Noah and the people, who are not listening to him and these kind of things. So what we liked about these books, like we use them as a foundation. So basically the girls would go through them, or if they would have a question, they would come and ask me, and then we would retell the story in our own words. So we would use the book as a foundation, because even some of the vocabulary, it's not meant to be really for young children. It seems like adults. And that's the biggest issue with all of these Islamic books. They are not really done well for children, right? So if they're done, they're meant to be like adults who thought, what it would be good for children to learn about Islam. So they're not, really kid friendly. What we liked about them that were, they were hardcover. At least I like that as a parent. Now some of them got quite a bit beat up, in the process, but we've had these for a really long time. So they are the books by Dar Salam. It's like a set, and one set is about the belief, and then the other, the Prophet Adam one is quite beat up, as you can see. But this is a good foundation. So if you wanted to, just use that as, something to go through with your kids. Like I said, the illustrations sometimes, they're like the Dar Salam older books, look at this one, So they're a bit weird to put it. But it's, it wasn't that bad. This one's really beat up. So I don't know what happened to this one. This is the story about Dawood, right? So we have the whole set. We have the set about the beliefs, angels and all these kind of things. So that's a big pile of those. And we've had these for a long time. So this is a bit of an investment to get those. And again, you'll need to supplement. So we use them as a foundation to just kind of start the storytelling and just to kind of go from there. Next set of books that we really like. Now, these might be even harder to get because these were made by a friend of ours. Allahumma barik laha and the whole family. You can check out their website, Muslim Tree. I'm not sure if this is still available. Basically, they were these customized books about salah and wudhu. And so we had customized books
They
made
also
of
have ones about good deeds. Like, so
they had like a journal for good deeds. But this
deeds.
is years ago, right? This was made years ago. So I'm not sure if this is available. But basically, they were, Harun, Abdullah, Nusayba. So they had like boy and girl. Hajar. Yes, we had boy and girl version made. Okay, as you can see. So one is about wudu, and the other one is about salah.
I learned how to pray basically by these books.
So we really enjoy these books, and these books, have a reference in the back. So basically it says, where all the proof is coming from, but they are made in a very, very kid-friendly way. The illustrations are excellent, very thorough, and it's basically, it's rhymes, and the child has their name in the book, right? So it was customized. Now, I don't know if this is still available. This was made by a fellow homeschooling family many years ago, Muslim Tree. You guys can look it up, inshallah, but this is something that we really, really enjoyed. And again, we have some beat up versions, and we have some versions that have lost their cover. So then we ordered a new one. So we have a nice one, and then we have Hajar. And I think we don't have it for the remaining children. We didn't make it, but this is a good
We were too
exposure.
young, too.
You guys were, you
How
were
old
born.
was I? 2?
You were a baby when we got these, right? So
Exactly, so-
a lot of these books are an
You were
investment
born.
that we kind of did, over the years. Like we didn't just grab all this, right? But basically, as you can see, like one type of book was the stories of the prophets, and the other one is about salah and wudhu, right? So if you want to think about topics that you want to teach your kids, one is about the stories of the prophets. If you get books on the topic about, Qasasu Anbiya, and the ways how to make wudu and how to pray, because that's kind of important for young children. Another one that we got a couple of years back, it's this one, because we had a Lego fan in our house. And so this is meant to be teaching kids the Holy Quran through Lego illustrations, okay? So again, one is a bit weird, or it could be interesting. What you guys think about that? What?
Now I imagine.
There's a red face for shaitan.
Yeah, there's the red face for shaitan. So sometimes it's a bit disturbing imagery, right? But it was a nice way to kind of bring the story of Surah Kahf alive. So I think that is the biggest issue in the Muslim publishing space, how to bring the Islamic principles together with the quality of publishing and illustrations and these kind of things. So this one is...
If you have this book, like the one that she just showed, for your first real book about the exposure, you might ruin the image of how things really are. It's good after you know the real story to help you give a better visual, but other than that,
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard. So I think we mostly learned Islam in our house through conversations, right? Like through us discussing it, right? So what is the next one? You like this one or you don't like this one?
Those illustrations were cute.
Before birth,
I like
beyond
that
life, okay? So this one is about, tell us what this is all about. I don't know if this is the video setup is, the illustrations are cute here.
I haven't read
So
that
this
one.
is about being born, right? So illustrations are quite cute. Okay.
And it rhymes.
And it rhymes too. Okay, so this one is called Before Birth, Beyond Life. I think we got this one as a gift. All right, so what's next? Okay, so the ones we enjoyed are also the Islamic studies books by Dar Salam. So they go by grade 1, grade 2. Some kids have read them, some kids have don't. Clearly, some of them
I put
have.
those in the pile because I read them and I really enjoyed reading them. It was all about, and there was no illustrations that gave the wrong message. And
This is just a lot of text,
we
a lot of
have
basics.
up until grade 6, but I only read these two. So, but they're really good.
So this is about basics of Islam. So these would be the Dar Salam Islamic studies. Now we haven't done we don't do them as lesson. We just kind of they're on the shelf
I
and
read
kids
them by
can read
myself
through.
when I was 6, 7.
Yeah. All right. So, oops, sorry for the shaking. Now, next pile of things are these ones.
Were nice.
By Learning Roots, Stories of the Prophets.
I
Now,
believe they
these were
have
done
5,
better.
don't
These
they?
were done
Because-
better. But we had one complaint from one of the children, from our current 7-year-old.
There's just too much quizzing and most of the pages are just if you got it right,
Just a second, yeah.
if
So,
you got it right, just it doesn't
it's meant to be
matter if you
interactive,
get it
right? So this is where the unschooling perspective comes in. They're meant to be interactive, but there is a lot of quizzing. There is a lot of questions that you're supposed to get right.
If you got
I
it
liked
right, it
that
doesn't
book,
matter.
but I
just
didn't really use the quizzing. I just read
Neither
the
did I.
video.
Yeah, so it's kind of, you see, at some point
Illustrations
it's,
good. There's no people in it. And
yeah.
it's-
So it's kind of structured like a workbook at times, and some kids don't like to see these are the answers and stuff. So it felt like, it was more like you said, too many quizzes, right? They would have just enjoyed the story.
It doesn't matter. It's not made
What we
for,
do have
these
is we have the
questions.
puzzle that comes from the Learning Roots. We have the puzzle.
The
And
names are missing.
the names are missing because the
Most of
kids
them.
have lost the little pieces of the names. They were using them for other games. But we have the puzzle, and it basically lays out all the prophets kind of in order.
We
It's a nice
lost
puzzle.
some of the pieces too.
Well, comes with the...
Basically, you have little signs in the hole, and you put the sign.
Yes, so this is kind of a nice visual. So these books are quite nice, if you don't mind the quizzing bits. So the story of
Or you could
Adam,
skip them.
the
I
story
always wasn't
of
sure how to do
Isa.
the quizzes.
Yeah, and we have a big policy of not writing in the books. So
Yeah,
the
that
kids
was
could
also,
not
we don't-
answer the
we
quizzes
could never,
in the books.
We could never answer the questions, write it down and then check the answers later. So one time, I think I attempted to write it on a paper, but then they got all confused. So
All right, and so what else we've got here? We've got A Day with the Prophet.
About his behavior.
I think this is a bit more for older kids, right? And I
I
think
mean, I liked it.
so. Hajar is 12.
I
Hajar
don't
is
believe
12.
I read everything, but it was very nice.
Okay, so I think a lot of these books we have just used them as sort of a starting point, right? So like, you know, we would go through it because they all leave something to be desired, right? So they're not perfect. Okay, 30 hadith for children.
That one has some quizzing too, but it's not that hard. I
Yeah.
kind of skimmed through it, and that hadith were nice.
Yeah, so the hadith were nice. So the idea is like a lot of these books for Islamic studies for kids are very preachy, right? And so kids can kind of sense that from miles away, and so they don't really appreciate it. So we kind of use them all with a lot of addition, you know, with a lot of commentary that goes
This
with
one
it.
was nice too.
A short biography of the Prophet and his 10 companions. So if you're looking for categories, so basically we said stories of the prophets that came before, then the story of Muhammad, so Seerah, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then sort of prayer and salah. Those are, you know, prayer and wudhu. Those are the kind of books we were focusing
I
on.
really enjoyed this one because it had like a lot of like translating the du'as and
A day in the life of a Muslim child.
I only skimmed through it and read a few pages, but it's enough because
I read it. I didn't like it. And the illustrations are weird.
Yes, I didn't like it, and also the illustrations are
The
weird.
mother wears like 5 different hijabs one day. Like,
I think it's like really
Yeah, so
nice because like it shows all the du'as that you have
yeah,
to say
so
over the
some
day,
kids have
and,
appreciated
like,
that and some
and
kids
then
have
the
not.
translation and everything.
Yeah, so it's a good one.
Like in
So
Arabic.
sometimes, you know, it'll be like a trial and error, a day in the life of a Muslim child. Okay, so a lot of them are from Dar Salam. So as far as publishers, check out Dar Salam, check out Learning Roots. And what else? Now there's a lot of new
Tree,
books that have published. Muslim Tree. I don't know if Muslim Tree is still available. There are a lot of books that have been published in the last 5 to 10 years. Now I have not purchased that many books in the last 5 to 10 years because these are all purchases, you know, that were made years ago. We stick now mostly to the Kindle and Audible for other reading. So most of the books we have are on the Kindle and we're using Audible. Now we have a few books of the kids that are not enjoying. Are you guys enjoying these or
I've never
not?
really
We don't
read
like- I
these
don't
two.
Okay.
I
You
read
don't
one
like-
of them, and we all agree that's bad.
Okay, so this one, what's wrong with this one?
the illustrations are weird.
Funny illustrations. So sometimes, yeah. So especially
I
when you
haven't
compare
read
it to
them.
other books, Muslim stuff, sometimes it's,
I haven't
you
read
know,
that
a
one.
bit awkward.
I haven't read
So it's hard to, you know, this is, I think, the same kind of type of book from Dar Salam, like, you know, like this one, A Day in the Life of a Muslim Child.
Yeah, on the back. If
So
you
I think
turn
it's
that
important
around to the
to-
back, it's like the same.
to look at the books with the critical eye, you know, to kind of see. So, for example, we have this one. This was also
all-
illustrated by a friend of mine. She was doing the illustrations, but the text is just too preachy. Like the text is, you know, it's meant to be.
She is 6 years old, and it's asking her to do a lot of her deen at this young age. It's not.
Yeah,
And she
so
doesn't even know how to say kindergarten.
Yeah, so the text is very preachy, as you can tell, right? So it's a lot of these books are kind of, you know, lacking in the department
And
of,
I
you know,
don't
either
agree. I
illustration
don't agree
or.
with some of the things they say in the book.
Yeah, so there you go. So these are the
But
kind
it
of
has
books.
my name.
Yeah, well, she's Hafsa, so there you go. Oh, then we have books that we absolutely don't agree on. This is from our shelf of shame. So we got this gifted actually, and it was meant to be. So you see the other opposite, you know, you have the one side of, you know, no illustrations and no faces, and then you have this kind of stuff. And then this was meant to be
Teach you the names of
to teach you the names of Allah, the 90 names of Allah, especially Ar-Rashid. And then it goes on about the Princess Rashida, but the story is absolutely awful.
She
like
changed.
And it makes no sense with Rashida.
makes no sense, has nothing to do with Allah's name, and then it becomes this
Oh, the-
love story with the prince, and it's just really
And
weird.
it's like no wonder the prince married her several years later.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, the content
The
is
whole
just really
storyline is-
weird. And then at the end, you
And
know,
then
no
there's,
wonder
like-
that several years later, Prince Hakim married Princess Rashida. We keep this
There's
one as
a
an
lot of
example
other
on
books.
what not to do, how not to publish Islamic books. So basically, what we have done over the years, we have used a bunch of these Islamic books as, well, this is another one. This is more for the parents or for older girls. We'll leave this
I
one
read
out.
that. I don't like that.
A Muslim Girl's Guide to Little Life's Big Changes. This is more for like preteens or teenagers, right?
I didn't
So-
like it.
You didn't like it. Okay, so we have a lot of these books, as you can see, excuse me, are not they all lack something. They either lack the illustrations or they lack the content. So whatever you end up using, use it with a grain of salt or with a lot of supplementing information, inshallah. So I hope this helps, and inshallah we'll talk to you soon. Assalamu alaikum.